I totally get why you wouldn't have it today. So, and you probably will want to bring your practice book every day too, because usually there will be an assignment, and if there's time left, you can get going on completing that assignment, okay? All right, so page 31 in your Voyages book, we're starting the unit on pronouns, and it's a pretty long unit. You see there are 11 lessons in it. So we will actually divide this up in half. So we will go to either 3.5 or 3.6, and then take a test. It's just going to kind of depend on where that falls, like with days. Like I'd never want to leave a test over, like if we have that long weekend in February. So 3.5 or 3.6, and then we'll test, and then we'll do the other half of the unit, and then test after that. Okay, so we're splitting this unit up. Okay, so turn to page 32 in your Voyages, and today we're going to be talking about person, number, and gender of pronouns. Okay, so I like to use, you know, when you are in Spanish and you get verbs and then you have to conjugate the verbs, and you know how you have different forms depending on who's speaking or who they're talking about, how many people are talking. It's the same thing with pronouns. So I like to use kind of that same chart. I feel like, as Miss Hidalgo used a chart where you put in the pronouns and then the verbs that you use with each one. So I like to use that similar chart, okay? So let's start out. We'll go to this chart in a little bit. At the top of page 32, Grayson, could you read that first line about what a pronoun is?
A pronoun is a word used in a place of a noun.
Okay, a pronoun is a word that is used in place of a noun. So a noun is a person, place, or thing. So if I was saying Grayson is in 7th grade, Grayson read the first line on page 30, is it 32? 32. Grayson has social studies class next hour. I don't know if you guys do or not, but if I was saying that, instead of saying Grayson, Grayson, Grayson all the time, I would say Grayson is in 7th grade. He read the first line on page 32. He has social studies class after this class. So it just stops us from being repetitive. It helps your writing from being repetitive. Same thing, St. Joseph's School is a K-8 school. St. Joseph's School is in Rosemount. St. Joseph's School has 200 students. Instead of saying St. Joseph's School all the time, I would say St. Joseph's School is a K-8 school. It is in Rosemount. It has 200 students. Okay, so then I would replace St. Joseph's School with the word it. So that's what a pronoun does. Okay, it replaces that noun. All right. So they show you an example on page 32. It says the textbook has a poem by Emily Dickinson. She wrote inspiring poems. So she is replacing what word? Greta? Emily Dickinson. Okay? All right, so like I said, if you look on page 32, the next paragraph, Bella, could you read the next paragraph underneath the examples?
Study the chart first.
Oh, nope. I'm sorry, under the examples that we just read, pronouns help.
Pronouns help avoid
repetition
in the second sentence. The pronoun she refers to Emily Dickinson, and the word that a pronoun refers to is called the antecedent. Emily Dixon is the antecedent of the pronoun she.
Okay, so antecedent. What is an antecedent? Bella just read it. What is an antecedent? Joey?
Word that the pronoun refers to.
Yeah, the word the pronoun is referring to, the word it replaces. So in those sentences, she is the pronoun, Emily Dickinson is its antecedent. In the examples I used, he was the pronoun, Grayson was the antecedent. It was the pronoun, St. Joseph's School was the antecedent. Okay? That is what an antecedent is.
Which grade do you have?
Oh, what am I supposed to be sending? These are 7th graders.
7, okay, so isn't it, because Christian's already,
Okay.
Andrew.
Andrew.
Yes, yes, we're doing the math.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to get to the next part. So any questions about what an antecedent is? Okay, pretty simple, right? Now, it says learning how pronouns work will help you use them correctly. Look at the personal pronouns in the chart below. So these are personal pronouns, and we're going to fill them in. I'm going to talk about it before we read further. So pronouns can be identified as person, number, and gender. Okay? So this side of the chart is going to be person. Is where we're going to put the person. And when we talk about person of pronouns, if a question asked you what is the person of that pronoun, your answer would be either first person, second person, or third person. So when they say, please write the person of the pronoun, it's first person, second person, or third person. Okay? When this marker isn't showing up very well. When they're, and then the top of the chart, hopefully this one will work. The top of the chart, so this way actually, are going to refer to the number of the pronouns. Okay, so person and number. And this can be kind of confusing. I think why this confuses people sometimes is because when you think number, the person has numbers in it, right? First, second, third. But that's the person.
Thank you.
You're welcome. First person, second person, third person is the person. Number refers to how many. So there are 2, singular, or plural. So if a question says, what is the number of this pronoun, or identify the number of this pronoun, your answer would be either singular or plural. Not first person, second person, third person, even though those are numbers, those are the person. Okay? So pronouns can be person, identified by person, first person, second person, third person, number, singular or plural, And then also they can be identified by gender. And gender only applies to one section of this whole chart. The only place where we have to worry about gender is third person singular. So in this section right here is the only place where we will think about gender. And the different gender, if the question asks you, what is the gender if it applies, your answer will be masculine, feminine, or neuter. Not boy, girl, not male, female, masculine, feminine, or neuter. Okay? Oops, I didn't spell that right. Okay, so it's only that third person singular section that has gender. Okay, so you can actually kind of look at the chart that we're on. What would be a first person singular pronoun? Greta.
Me.
I and me, yep. What would be a second person singular pronoun? Lily?
You.
You. What would be a third person singular pronoun? Joey?
He, she, it, her, it.
Okay, so there are several of them. Joey said he, she, her, it. There's one more.
Him.
Him. Okay, those are your third person singular pronouns. And you can see that I also line them up by their gender. So he and him would be masculine. She and her would be feminine. And it would be neuter. Okay? All right, what would be your first person plural?
We and us.
Thank you. We and us. Okay, what is your second person plural?
You.
You. What is your third person plural? Greta?
They and them.
They and them. Oops. Okay? So, person is first person, second person, third person. Number is either singular or plural. Gender is either masculine, feminine, or neuter. And it's only in third person singular that applies. Okay? Okay. So basically, that's what this next section says. It says, if you look on page 32, underneath the chart, it says, study the chart. First, you can see that pronouns change form depending on person. Who is speaking? So, if the person speaking is talking about themselves, these are the pronouns being used. If the person speaking is talking to someone else, then this is the pronoun. If the person speaking is talking about someone else, not the person they're speaking to, these would be the pronouns, right? Okay. Second, you can see the pronouns also change form depending on number, singular or plural. Whether they refer to one or more. Pronouns in the third person singular also change form depending on gender, whether the antecedent is feminine, masculine, or neuter. The third person singular pronouns are he, him, are masculine, she, her are feminine, and it is neuter. Pronouns also change form according to how they are used in a sentence. I, we, you, she, he, it, and they are used as subjects and subject complements. And me, us, I lost my spot, but me, us, you, him, her, them are used as objects. And we'll get more into those lessons coming up in the next couple days. Okay, when you use it, which one? Okay. So if you look at the examples, I must write a report on Dickinson tonight. I is first person singular. Ms. Scott gave us an assignment last week. Us is first person plural. Dickinson was very creative. She wrote 1,800 poems. She would be third person singular feminine. We studied several in class. We would be first person plural. Please check out the book. It is on the top shelf before you leave. It is third person singular neuter. And Jorge said he would help with the report. He is third person singular masculine. Okay, note that it's only when you're saying these here that you have to identify a gender. Okay? Anybody have questions? Okay, let's do some practice together. So exercise 1 on page 33, give the person and number of each italicized pronoun. So number 1, Allie, do you think you could do number 1?
Sure. Do I read it out loud?
Yep.
Do I read the blank? Or do I just read the sentence?
We're on exercise 1, number 1.
Oh. Did you know that Lincoln was born in Kentucky? Lincoln, he?
Okay, so first so the italicized word is you. That's the pronoun we're looking at. So you just have to say what person and number and gender, if it applies, you is.
Second person singular.
So, and in this case, we're not sure if it could be singular or plural because we don't know who they're speaking to. So it could be either. Okay? Number 2, Lucy, could you do that one?
Lincoln married Todd in Illinois and married her in 1842. Third person singular.
Yep, third person singular. Her is third person singular. And it's only asking for the person and number. It's not asking for the gender in the directions. Okay, number 3, Gianna.
He delivered the Gettysburg Address in 1863. The third singular.
Third person singular, yep. Mikey, number 4. Yep, third person singular. Okay, number 5, Lewis.
We should
So which pronoun are you talking? There are actually two that are italicized in that sentence. So which one is third person plural? Them. Yep.
And then we is,
We is first person. Yep. Here's your person. First person, because you're included in it. The person talking is included. So it's first person. First person plural. Good job. Okay, exercise 2. Identify the pronoun or pronouns in each sentence. Tell if each is first person, second person, or third person. If it's singular or plural. So you're identifying the person, you're identifying the number, and then also tell the gender of third person singular pronouns. Okay, number 1, Ben.
What are you reading, Deborah? You, second person, singular.
Yeah, and we know that it's singular here because they're just addressing Deborah. So one person, so we know that it's singular. All right, Ewan, number 2.
Number 2. Which exercise is this?
Exercise 2, number 2. So you guys all should be following and thinking in your head what you would answer to see if you're getting it or not.
We don't want to bother you. We is first person plural, and you is second person singular.
Yes, because again, if you're talking to Deborah again. Okay. Number 3, Joey.
I was reading a poem by Carl Sandburg. I, first person, singular.
Yep. Number 4, Greta.
it is called grass. Third person, singular, neuter.
Yeah, and there we have to identify the gender because it's in that third person singular box. Okay, Lily, number 5.
He mourns the death of young people, children mourn. He, third person singular.
Yep, and we also have to have gender because it's in the third person singular box.
Male.
Masculine.
Masculine.
Yep. Okay, Ryder, number 6.
Deborah, will you read the poem out loud for us? You would be second person, both.
Well, again, they're just addressing Deborah there. So if we know, we can say singular or plural. So since they're just talking to Deborah, it would be singular.
And then us would be first person, plural.
Yep. Okay, number 7, Avery.
Maybe we could use the poem in tomorrow's English assignment. We, first person, plural.
Yep. 8, Emily.
If we look for more poems by Sandburg, we will find him there. We, first person plural. And them, third person plural.
Yes, very good. And number 9, Clara.
I am sure that other poems by him would be just as powerful. I, first person singular. And him, third person singular. Masculine.
And masculine. Yep. Okay, any questions? Okay, so your homework is to complete practice book page 25 for tomorrow. Okay, and you have